Today, let's talk about my favorite bad snake movie. No, not that one, the other one. Anaconda is a 1997 creature feature horror movie directed by Luis Loza, starring Ice Cube, Jennifer Lopez, John Voight, an animatronic snake that still looks good 20 years later, and its CGI counterpart of varying quality. This movie is basically a ripoff of Jaws, but you can say that about every other monster movie that came after 1975. It did well financially, but critically it's considered a flop. It was even nominated for 6 Razzie Awards, including Worst Picture and Worst Screenplay, but surprisingly didn't win in any of the categories. Most people consider this one of the worst movies ever made. And while I do agree it's bad, I genuinely enjoyed this train wreck of a movie, and I'll get to the reasons why in a sec. So Anaconda follows a documentary film crew who journey to the Amazon to film a documentary about an ancient lost tribe, the Shirinshama, who are also believed to worship giant snakes.
Shirishama worship giant snakes, anacondas, as gods, protectors.
Damn, even the drawing looks more convincing than the CGI in the sequels. Anyway, their journey takes an unexpected turn when they rescue and bring on board this guy, Sarom, who is a retired priest snake hunter who also knows MMA. He's awesome. Anyway, he slowly manipulates the crew into chasing after the giant snake instead, starting with the horny Owen Wilson.
Is it just me, or does the jungle make you really, really horny?
Really, really horny.
Things don't go according to plan, however, as slowly everyone starts becoming snake food in sometimes terrifying, sometimes goofy, and at times unrealistic manner. Even Sarom gets his against the Black Anaconda. In the end, we are left with only the two most famous people in the cast, and this guy who slept through the entire movie after being stung by a wasp. Anaconda is a mess of a movie. It has a really weak script. The acting is kind of lackluster except for John Voight, of course. And some of the special effects have not aged that well. Unfortunately, most of the characters I still find uninteresting even after rewatching the movie, which is probably the biggest issue I have with the movie. You have Kale who sleeps through the entire movie. Danny Trejo kills himself within the first 5 minutes. Owen Wilson is quite frankly kind of unlikable in this. His girlfriend Denise
Little baby bird.
is also kind of just there. Westridge is just another generic, arrogant British character who kind of starts to redeem himself and is dead. Ice Cube feels terribly miscast. Despite him being a charismatic dude, he's not given a lot to work with in the script, except for a few lines here and there that are memorable for just how badly they are delivered.
Is snakes out there this big?
He said it!
Most of the times, it only feels like he's just there to be knocked down a bunch of times, long enough for him to kill the Black Anaconda. And Jennifer Lopez is kind of dull for main female protagonist. They do give us some badass scenes, like her being the one to kill the Green Anaconda, but other than that, she's just kind of there. We do get the sense that her and Kale have this history, but it's never really explored in the film, so nobody cares about it that much. Besides, most people only remember her for this scene, for obvious reasons. The snake doesn't show up until 40 minutes into the movie, so you're stuck with these characters for a major part of the movie, which can drag. At least in Jaws, they took time to give their main protagonists interesting personalities, backstories, heartwarming and emotional scenes, so that you care for them and fear for them whenever they face the monster. The attacks in this movie just feel devoid of any emotion, despite how hard they try at some point. Most of the times you even find yourself rooting for the snake. The only memorable character in this is Saron. He's such a campy and over-the-top villain that the only thing I feel is missing is an evil laugh. Every line he delivers comes across as creepy, menacing, and unintentionally hilarious almost all of the time, especially in that accent.
That's the devil inside everyone.
Hands off her.
Horrible.
And his facial expressions are just icing on the cake. This was the perfect villain for this type of movie, and John Voight deserves all the credit for making such a character work. The scene where he winks after being spat out by the anaconda, priceless. Aside from all that and the technical issues like the waterfall moving upwards, how this got past the editing room I will never know. Anaconda is still an enjoyable watch for me. Part of it has to do with nostalgia. This is probably the first creature feature I remember seeing as a kid. The other reason being that now that I rewatched it as an adult, I appreciate the B-movie feel and campy tone this movie has, whether or not that was intentional. I mean, where else are you going to see an anaconda squeezing the eye out of a panther or spitting a monkey straight into someone's face? It's scenes like this that make the movie memorable for me. It's definitely trying to rip off Jaws in some scenes. They even did the zoom effect thing. But if you can look past that, it's an okay monster movie you can watch and enjoy for what it is. And hey, if you think this movie is bad, you should watch the sequels. Speaking of which, the sequels are awful. Don't waste your time. I've seen all of them and I can't recall anything about them except from some goofy scenes from the second one, and I think the third one had David Hasselhoff in it, so that's something. The CGI also gets worse to the point that you are unable to suspend your disbelief, and that's saying something considering the shit we saw in the first movie. There's also a crossover movie that was released that I did not know about until making this video, but I don't wanna see that. Life's too short. I mean, I've already seen Komodo vs Cobra. Come on. Anyway, Anaconda is an okay movie. I give it about a 2 out of 5 category.
Baby bird.
Hey, if you made it to the end of the video, chances are you probably liked that video. So why don't you give me a thumbs up and subscribe to see more. And also don't forget to push that little bell button so that you become aware every time I upload. Thank you. Bye.